Kia ora. Right, so um, film genres. You know how I set myself the challenge, my boys and I set the challenge of doing a film in every genre. There's two genres I've been putting off doing. One because I didn't completely understand what the definition meant, but I've just looked up the definition and it's like, okay, that's cool. I can actually do that. And the other one is just I've been putting it off because it's probably the least favourite of my kind of movies. But it's not about me. It's not about me. It's about the kids. And so, I'm going to do whatever I have to do for my kiddies. So the first thing is I need to do a Western. I need to do a Western, like a Western. And the thing is, because I'm going to be rescuing horses, one of the reasons why I wanted to rescue horses was to use them in movies, not just for healing therapy, so that people could come and ride the horses for healing and feeding them and brushing them and all that for their mental health and all that, because horses have been scientifically proven to be very, very healing animals. Even people who've never ridden before, when they ride one, when they get to brush one, when they get to feed one, and just interact with one, it helps with their healing. Kids with Down syndrome as well respond incredibly well to horses. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, horses are God's therapy on four legs. And so I want to rescue horses, and I'm going to bring my brother over. I had already discussed it with my brother because he used to, he was going to be a jockey when he was a kid. And his love of horses, and what he doesn't know isn't worth knowing, sort of thing. So before I got locked out of my Facebook, after my ex and that hacked my Facebook, I had been discussing with my brother because I thought I was going to be going to Russia at the time. And I said to him, when I'm ready to set up my stables and get these horses and that, will you come and help me? And I'll pay you to come over and you can help me set them up, and kind of secretly hoping that I could talk him and his partner into moving to Russia with me to be my stable manager. But now to be Switzerland. I might be able to talk him round, like I talked to my sister, because she wasn't too keen on the idea of going to Russia, but as soon as I mentioned Switzerland, she was like, yeah, I'm all in. So, which is a shame, because I think I could have talked her around though. Once I brought her there, I think she would have fallen in love with Russia. Just let me finish this thing. I'm just waiting for I'm about to have my breakfast. All hope is not lost with Russia, and I'll tell you why. So, part of the school, well, the foundation, on the other side of Aboracom, my town, I'm going to have a Western themed set of shops, set of businesses. I had discussed this with a friend of mine ages ago. I was inspired by my boy getting me to watch Red Dead Redemption. I fell in love with that game. It's one of the greatest games ever made. That and Grand Theft Auto 4 are two of the greatest games ever made. I've seen Red 1 and Red 2, and I just adored them. And I used to talk with my son on Discord, and I'd say, see, when I build my foundation, for the people that are building all the sets and stores and that, they'll be able to go like all around the UK and Europe and all of that to find stuff to put in my Western themed stores. We're going to need horses for my martial arts movie. We're going to need horses for Yata no Kagami, because we're going to need their sounds and, the sounds of their hooves and all of that sort of thing. So the horses are going to come in very handy. And I personally adore horses, and I have longed for many, many years to have my own horse that I want to call Nicodemus. My boys know all about Nicodemus, and I want a pet cow called Charles Darwin. Whether it's a boy or a girl, it's been called Charles Darwin. But these animals will come in handy for their sounds and because of the healing therapy. So then I get to use the horses for Halloween when we're going to pull carriages and, pumpkin picking. Even in Switzerland, I don't care if they don't practice any of that culture. I'm all about bringing in the tourists and giving the kids fun, like making the whole experience for the year that they're with us fun. I, I've been working on this for so long. So then, yeah, so I need to do a western. I hate westerns. Ugh, my dad used to watch all the bloody westerns, but I did like Seven Brides for Seven Brothers and all of that. But I'm not going to be doing the cowboy and Indian thing. What I was thinking was, you know how I was saying about doing like a slapstick homage to Mel Brooks? Remember he did Blazing Saddles. I could make my western the slapstick. I wouldn't be able to use the Amber Wilkinson School of Witchcraft because, of the house not being of the same era, but I'd be able to use portions of my town and we'd be able to use the horses and it would be fun and it might not be a very long movie. I mean, I don't know because I haven't even begun to write a script for a western, but I could, because remember I was saying about the guy that gets killed as a bank robber? He robs a bank and then goes on the lam. I mean, I could do, and the thing is, I've just been doing some investigating. This is what's the cool bit. They have a steamboat on Lake Geneva in Switzerland. So I'm wondering whether we could get them to allow us to use the steamboat in the movie. Where, we're setting it up like a, what do you call it, casino. I wonder if they'd let us use their steamboat for the movie, where because maybe that's where he steals the money from. He steals the money from the casino. I'm not gonna. I mean, I don't know if I'd be able to use a steam train or anything like that. I'm kind of reluctant. Like I have to put safety first. Do you know what I mean? I don't like the idea of kids being around trains, and because I want to make this fun, I don't want to make it dangerous. I have a whole plan about all of this. There's a reason why this stuff is themed that I'm not going to go into here because I have enough trouble with people stealing my ideas. But honestly, when I'm ready to open the gates, it's going to blow people's minds. And when I'm ready to pitch my ideas to investors, they are going to be throwing money at me from start to finish. They'll be throwing money at me because what I'm building has never ever been done before. And it's going to bring tourists in from all over the world. I can 100% guarantee you. So, along the lines of Red Dead Redemption, I could make my western, that kind of themed. I could keep my slapstick how it is, where they have to stay in the hotel and stuff, or I could make it my western like Blazing Saddles, which was just an awesome movie. And then the second movie is a period piece, a period biopic. I'm going to be doing a movie based on my life, but I want to do a period piece, and I was putting it off because I thought period piece meant that I had to do like Wuthering Heights, Bronte sisters, kind of Downton Abbey sort of blah. But then I looked it up, and it just basically means that when you do a period piece, while it doesn't have to be based on historical fact, it has to be based on a time period in history, like, so, the Civil War, the American Civil War. But if it's going to be a period piece, everything in it, and apparently it's one of the reasons why it's one of the most expensive movies to make, is because everything in it has to be 100% of that era. Now, this is where the horses in Russia would come in if Vladdy would let me. I There's a woman who she inspired me. My ex bought me a book about her. I'd never heard about her before. And it broke my heart when I figured out who she was, because this is somebody who needs to be known in history, who 100% does not get any recognition for her contribution to the Crimean War, and that is my all-time favourite female hero, Mary Seacole. So I'm getting goosebumps. Whew, bring it on. I want to do a period piece about the story of Mary Seacole, which means, see, with my talent agency, when my casting director has to put casting calls out, I'm fully prepared to let people audition on, video. They can send me their audition pieces, and I can go through all the videos and narrow it down, and then I can meet them in person, meet them over Zoom or whatever, and then we can bring them in to come for auditions, or, we can set up local areas for them to audition. I'll send people out to them, and then they can decide the ones that are can be invited to Switzerland for me to meet them, because nobody gets a job working for me. I'm not going to pay a single penny, or franc, I think it is in Switzerland, with from start to finish, from top to bottom, no matter who they are. I get the final say on who comes through those gates. But the thing is, like with War Babies, where I'll get to employ New Zealand actors, and with the story of my life, New Zealand actors and Māori actors, and like with War Babies, actors from all over France, Germany, Great Britain, blah, 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 they'll all be able to congregate, and what an experience. But it's bringing all four corners of the globe together to create magic for these children to learn from, to see if this is what they want to get into when they're older, and if not, it's letting them escape from hell for a year. And if some of them end up staying, they get moved over to the boarding house. So with my period piece, Mary Seacole, she was a Jamaican Scottish woman who she's probably the only famous woman in the world, after people know my name. Now remember, the word witch and Wicca is derived from the word wick. And witch and Wicca mean intelligence. And witches back in the day were who doctors and chemists and pharmacists and psychologists used to be. They were herbalists and that. And before the church came along and condemned the work that these people were doing to heal people from sicknesses, saving marriages, helping deliver babies, they delivered babies and, gave people their last rites. They were sin eaters as well. So they removed the sins from dead bodies before they got buried in the ground. One of the reasons why people were so afraid of them. And then, of course, the church came along and were like, oh, we can't have that. We can't have these spiritual alchemists and intelligent, wise people giving all this counsel and healing and that to these towns and villages. So we're going to make out like they're devils and demons. We're going to execute them and make people afraid of them, and then we'll take over. And then we're going to tell people how to connect to God and their ancestors and all of that. They removed paganism and all of that. And while there's a lot of people that misunderstand what paganism is and practice it completely wrong and disrespectfully, like Zelensky, true paganism, they're just earth elementals, which is another word for a witch. But the word witch means of intelligence or of wisdom, because they're wise people who know how to use the earth in conjunction, the mind, body, spirit dynamic. And for centuries, they were trusted by towns and villages and kings and queens and all of that, because they knew what they were doing. But then, of course, when the church came along, these people had too much sway in everyone else's lives, so the church had to come and vilify them. Just like how the devil worshippers, the people who worship Baphomet, Baal and Molech in my life, vilified me, how they came after me and wanted people to think that I was crazy and that I was dangerous and that I was evil and conjuring demons and all that sort of thing, because they didn't want people being healed by me. Because when people are healed by me, they see the truth of who people like Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Christopher Black and all that are. So it's smoke and mirrors. But I had a dream about Joan of Arc. I had a couple of encounters with Joan of Arc where she was pushing me to make sure that when this was all over, I stood and defended people who were executed for heresy and witchcraft, which she was. And it's no coincidence, I think, that I'm being placed near France and why I'm going to need French actors, especially for the time-jumping detective and war babies and all of that. I'm going to need all walks of life. I'm so proud of what I've created. I'm so excited of what I've created, because with all the trouble that's going on in the world at the moment, where governments are forcing everyone to hate each other for their religions, for the colour of their skin, for their beliefs, that sort of thing. What I'm building brings everyone together because we have one rule. When you walk through my gates, there's no politics or religion. It's not about that. You can have your places to go and worship Allah and God and FAEA and Odin and all that. Like I'm going to have my spiritual centre. I'm going to have in my wellness centre. I'm going to have like a place of spiritual contemplation, where if the kids are Muslim or Christian or Jewish or whatever, we're going to have the Bibles they need. We're going to have everything they need. A lot of my mentors and that are going to be Jewish and Muslim and Christian and, Orthodox, and whatever they need, they're going to have their spiritual teachings. I'm not going to be removing that from them. But you won't be coming in with placards saying, Trump, Trump, rah, 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 Elon Musk, rah, rah, rah. We won't be using any Grok. We won't be using any X. No AI, nothing. Like, it's banned. You're not coming into my gates as a Christian, a British Christian, having a go at a Muslim at my school who's come from, I don't know, Turkey or Morocco or whatever. Malta. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where some of these kids and my stuff are going to be coming from, but you know what I mean. I'm not going to have a Jewish person coming in and picking a fight with an Arab. Like, when you walk through my gates, this isn't about you. It's not about your religion. It's not about your skin colour. It's not about your beliefs. You don't come through my gates, and you certainly don't get paid a wage from me if you're going to be taking your religion or your political views out on anyone else in my grounds. While you're on my grounds, we are in this for the children, and your views have nothing to do with anything. We will not be mollycoddling pronouns. Be whatever you want, but don't put your views on anyone else. You're just here to learn or to do a job. This isn't about you and your pronouns. Don't make yourself special because it's not about you. Do you know what I mean? So, like with war babies, we'll get to be bringing people in from all over the world, especially Europe and all of that. They'll get invited. My casting agency through my talent agency will, get it all sorted, and then I'll get to meet them, and I'll know as soon as I meet these kids and these potential actors and talent and that, if they're who I'm looking for. I'll know it biorhythmically. I'll know. So, Mary Seacole, I'll be able to get actors from Jamaica. We'll have to build sets that look a bit Jamaican. If necessary, where necessary, we might have to send a film crew and some of the actors over to Jamaica. But if we can build it on the grounds, we'll build it on the grounds. Because the point is, while I do want to send kids to other countries to fulfill these roles, like I said, it's safety first. If it's not safe, we'll have to figure out another way to do it. But it's better if they come to us, because it's not only cheaper, but it also gives the kids and my staff an excuse to think outside the box when it comes to, God, we're in the middle of the Alps, like we can see the Italian Alps there, and there's the Swiss Alps and the French Alps and blah, blah, blah. How the hell are we going to make this look like Jamaica? During the Crimean War, well, that's where the creativity and innovation comes in. You know, it pushes them to use their creative minds. And I really think that we absolutely 100% can do it, because if you saw what they did with things like Star Wars when it first came out, I mean, bloody hell. And Ray Harryhausen, you know, on the small budgets that they had, and, you know, they ended up becoming iconic cult movies. And I don't care if none of anything we create wins any kind of Oscar or anything. That's not what we're doing it for. I'm creating schoolwork to get the kids away from the schools where they were forced to study subjects they hated, that pushed them further into depression, that got them bullied in that, and just letting them be bloody kids. Just letting them be kids. And the adults as well, where the adults get to be kids too. But we're my staff are mentors. I was a kid like you. I went through the same thing. I was bullied. I was harassed. I was neglected. I'm from a this, I'm from a that. And now I'm going to teach you my skill, because I'm only going to employ the best of the best. I don't care if you're a friend of someone I know or a relative or whatever. If you're not the best at what you do, you're not going to get a job. I only want the best, the masters and the maestros, because they're going to be teachers. They're going to be working alongside these kids and being held and being asked to be responsible for encouraging these kids to hold their head up. And to use their creativity, to fall back on their imagination and creativity and their skills and gifts and talents when they feel like all hope is lost. So, her father was Scottish. He was in the military, and he came to Jamaica and met her mum, and her mum was a Wicca. Wicca is the original term for intelligent, but it means ancient wisdom, and it's the wisdom that's handed down from generation to generation from Indigenous people. And Mary's mother taught Mary how to heal people using herbs and plants and diet. Everything I'm doing, everything I do, because I'm a Wicca, right? Hang on, I'm sipping my coffee. And then the Crimean War broke out. And so she sold up everything she had, gave up everything she had, sold up everything she had. She was quite wealthy. You know, she wasn't poor. She would, you know, her father made good money, and that her family were very well respected in Jamaica. And you know how Jamaicans love Scotland? Well, her father's one of the reasons why. So she sold up everything and she went to Crimea during the Crimean War. She actually offered her assistance as a nurse to Florence Nightingale. And I'm telling you now, the only good thing that woman did was invent the pie chart. She was a racist, horrible woman. You can say what you like about her, but the difference between Florence Nightingale and her posh little fancy hospitals with her rich friends and Mary Seacole is that Mary Seacole fought in the trenches. She would go down into the trenches with cannons and bullets and that flying over her head and nursing these soldiers, whereas Florence Nightingale was waiting until they got to the hospital. But Mary Seacole, because of her knowledge of using herbs and that, she didn't lose one soldier to dysentery. Florence Nightingale lost thousands. So when I read, because I used to have a lot of respect for Florence Nightingale until I found out she was racist, she went out of her way to make sure that nobody gave Mary Seacole a job. So she thought, right, bugger it. I'm just going to pack up and I'm going to go to Crimea and deal with it myself. She built a hotel out of which is where my western town will come in handy. She built a hotel pretty much out of nothing. She used all sort of bits of bobs of bits of wood and all of that. And she got this hotel up and running. And then when the soldiers were on leave, they'd come and stay with her, where they'd get to have a hot bath, where she would cook them hot meals, and if they needed tending to with medicines and that, she took care of them. And after the war ended, she lost everything. She was left destitute. She really thought she was going to make money from it, but she ended up with nothing. And she ended up moving to London and living in like a pauper's home or something. And it was just because, I can't remember, don't quote me, I'll have to investigate, because of the whole I don't think it was because of the slavery. They were talking about the slavery thing at the time, or all I can tell you, all I can remember, is that someone mentioned her in the newspaper, and word got around with all the soldiers who she had helped, who had fought in Crimea. And when they found out that she was basically destitute, they all started donating some of their war pensions to her to get her out of poverty. There's one statue of this woman, one bust. It's disgraceful, utterly disgraceful. So it's like, why not? I'm going to make my biopic about my period piece about Mary Seacole and her fight in the Crimean War. And if Laddie loves me and he wants to make anything up to me, if we can sort the whole crap out with Ukraine, then we can come over and film some of this in Crimea, maybe even like where some of the battles took place. What a great history lesson for the kids, eh? If I was in America, it probably would have been a Gettysburg thing. But the thing is, everybody knows about Gettysburg. Everybody knows about all the people that fought in these American wars and these British wars, but nobody knows about Mary Seacole and the contribution that she made to medicine, to science, and field medicine. It's because of her that we ended up sending medics and that out onto the field, onto the battlefield. She didn't lose one soldier to dysentery. Not one, because she knew what herbs and that to give them to help their fevers and, the diarrhea and all that. She knew exactly what to do because she drew on her WIC knowledge. And nobody knows about her. So that's what I'm saying. One good thing that Tado, for all the millions of bad things that he did, he introduced me to art and culture, and now I'm turning it into an empire that's going to help children. And I'm going to tell the story of Mary Seacole, and by the time I'm done, people are going to know who she is. And I'll get to we'll get to bring in Jamaican actors throughout, from various ages, telling the story of her life, and then everyone's going to know who she is because the movie will go up on my server. We'll need horses. We're going to have people who work in pyrotechnics and that safely, where we can emulate like cannon fire and all that sort of thing. But what an experience for the kids, eh? War babies as well is going to be huge. War babies, they're going to have so much fun. I'm really going to need a lot of very good engineers, and we're going to have to go around buying up some decommissioned tanks. But I said to my son that he can have one of them. I said I'd buy him some land so he can drive around in the tank. And then for any of the kids that wanted to get involved in learning how to fix tanks and all that, to get them film ready. I mean, I even thought it'd be really cool to turn some of them into cabins to sleep in, where you can pay to sleep inside a tank, where you'd have like a little TV and a bed, and you know what I mean? So, yeah. So they're just two of my ideas. So my period piece is going to be based on the story of Mary Seacole. The costume, the kids that work in the costume department are going to have a field day with these movies. If we can recycle any of the clothes, great. But if not, I mean, the stuff that they're going to get to make for the costume department, instead of doing algebra, yeah. So I've got, I think I've got most of the genres covered now. I think I've got to do like a drama, but yeah, and then yeah, I'm just hoping that the steamboat on Lake Geneva in Switzerland will allow us to commission it to film some scenes there, because I'm getting like casino vibes, and that maybe this guy goes into hiding because he robs a casino, and if I don't make it my slapstick, we still get to use it in the Western, because if it's based on Red Dead Redemption, there's going to be some heists and robberies and all of that involved. And yeah, but safety first. I'll need safety officers. I'm going to have to figure out what the employment laws are for the children to make sure that we don't overwork them. Make sure that they fit into the employment law thingy, because they'll all be earning money for what they're doing. They're not coming here to not be paid. They're all getting paid for their contributions. They earn money when they come to our school. It's not like they just come to us and we siphon them of all their talents, and that they earn money for everything they do, and then they get to improve their skills and learn from the ground roots up. And then if they decide, yeah, I definitely want to get into games because I spent a year at FAEA, or nah, actually I think I want to be a lawyer, then they came to us and they know. And then it means that their parents and their guardians and all of that didn't waste like college funds or anything like that. Or, they get what they want, and don't make money in games. There's no money in games. That's what everyone keeps saying. There's no money in games. Then they'll be proud when their kid says, actually, you know what, I think I want to be a lawyer and I want to defend kids' rights against people like Donald Trump and Elon Musk. But that's the whole point of them coming to us. We're going to show them the way. I'm like the hermit in the tarot card. I'm holding up my lamp, and inside that lamp is my universe. Inside that lamp is my globe. And my light will attract all the people that want to come and learn from my wisdom. And that wisdom is going to be turned into stories and books and movies and TV shows. And yeah, so, and it gives me an excuse, even more of an excuse, to do a Western themed side. But it's because I need it for some of my businesses and shops and that we are, offering to tourists and the kids. I haven't told you everything. So thank God for Lexi, because she reminded me. It was me having that dream about Lexi. I was trying to pull up my certificates from when I became an ordained minister, that I found the stuff that I'd posted about Mary Seacole. So Lexi, God bless her. God bless her, eh? Bless her heart. I should probably reach out to Lisa and say, well, you're not going to believe what your girl just did. Wow. So I always said that when I built my school, I'd have like a little memorial corner for all the kids from the past who had helped me. I'd asked Lisa for permission to put up Lexi's photo on my memorial wall. And she said, yeah. But back then I thought I was building in America. But yeah, I still will have a memorial wall. I've got a lot of kids that I've worked with in the past that I could put their pictures up on the memorial wall. So, including my Amber and my sister Laurie, who's the one who pretty much taught me how to bake. I can't decorate like she can, can't decorate like Amber could either. I can bake, but that's why I'll work with bakers and chocolatiers and chefs in there. I'll tell them what I need, I'll show them what I need, I'll show them my recipes in there, and then, they can make it sellable, edible, syllable, you know. They know it more than me. I'm just a mum. I cook to make people's hearts happy, to fill their tums with love. And that's what I used to say to my boys. So, yeah, so Western and biopic. Well, period piece. And then we get to bring Jamaica on board. And hopefully Crimea, if Russia's nice to me, if Vladdy's nice to me, I'll just yell at him and cry. You have to, it's not the children. Remember what I did for you, Vladdy? There's some of these places, like, you know, if we are allowed to film on location in Crimea, when all this is over, I would have to come along. I'd have to, you know, just to check on the kids, of course, just, you know, just to make sure. So anyway, I'm going to go now because my breakfast is settled. I like my cornflakes and that to settle in the milk and cream so that they're a little bit soggy. So they'll be ready now. So I'm going to go and have my breakfast. So thank you, Lexi. Thank you for everything. I've I can do this on my own. Yeah, how exciting. And I'm going to be so proud to honour Mary Seacole. She deserves a lot more respect than she's gotten in the history books, and I'm going to make sure that happens. And then, like I said, what a history lesson for the kids. So I'm going to go, and I shall see you later. Ka kite anō. Happy Sabbath, by the way. Mwah.